Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Megan, and I'm back with a library book haul predictions revealed video. I feel like it's been 50,000 years since I made a video, but I'm back, and I read my library books. They're overdue now, but I'm going to talk about them today. So, these were my last, 4 library books, and I'm going to just jump right in. So the first book that I read was I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. This is this one. I rated this one 4 stars. It was really good. I guess the reason I didn't rate it 5 stars is just like I don't see myself like going back to reread this. And there were moments where I was kind of like, well, it's not. I don't know how to describe it other than it was just kind of like I really enjoyed it, but I'm like it wasn't like earth-shatteringly. I adored it. That's what I'm going to say about it. But this is her memoir of her 17 brushes of death so far in her life, because she's still alive. So she is a writer. She does a lot of writing for publications, and so she has now written so this is nonfiction, obviously, about her accounts of every brush of death that she's ever had in her life. And I feel like 17 is a lot to have for one person. There were times when I was reading it and it didn't feel like I was reading nonfiction. It felt very fiction because of the way she was able to write about her experiences. Because some of them were like not as bad. Like some of them were kind of like, oh, like she was almost hit by a car. To like really severe things where like she was hospitalized and was in a wheelchair for a year because she had some sort of disease when she was a child. And she was literally on the brink of death, and so like it really ranges. I really liked that she didn't do it in chronological order of her life, so you didn't really know what was coming. So it was kind of like you would read about like her as like a 19-year-old, and she'd kind of briefly talk about herself as a child in a wheelchair, so you knew that was kind of coming. So then when she talked about it in depth, you were like, oh, this, and then it kind of related back to like her in the future. So it was really well woven together. So I really enjoyed that aspect. I also enjoyed the fact that at the end she tied it in with a brush of death with her daughter. So it was kind of like her life coming full circle because her daughter has a very severe allergy to, I believe it was peanuts. And she tells a story about her daughter coming into contact and they couldn't find a hospital fast enough. So it was just really harrowing to read, but just it really makes you appreciate life and how precious life can be. So that was this one. The next book I read was Tess on the Road by Rachel Hartman. I rated this one 3 stars. I mean, it would have been 4 stars, but look how chonky it is. And that's not to say that it wasn't a good story. It just felt like this book went on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And I'm like, are we coming to a conclusion anytime soon? Like I say, don't get me wrong, the journey was really beautiful and really well written, and it was really like thought out and really beautiful for our main character Tess. But like I say, it just got to a point where I was like, oh, she's now stopping at another place. Oh, okay, now she's gonna learn something about herself. Like there's only so many stops you can make about learning about yourself before you're like, okay, I'm pooped now. There is a sequel. I don't know what happens in the sequel. So I do plan on picking that up to read it because I'm curious. So this takes place in the same world as her Serafina duology. So Serafina's actually in this book. So Tess is actually Serafina's half-sister. So in this town, city, place that they live, the women are just kind of expected to exist, and like the men are supposed to protect them, and then like Serafina, who's a dragon, can do whatever she wants. And I'm like, bro, I would like to be a dragon. So Tess is set on this course, and she's like, you have to do this, and that in order for your life to be complete. And she's like, no, I don't want that to be my life. And so she makes a choice that has a serious consequence. And that leads her to her family sending her to the nunnery. And on the day that she's supposed to go to the nunnery, she decides, nope, I'm not going to the nunnery. She cuts her hair and she goes off on a journey, and the entire book is her on this journey, different places, different people, learning different things, and it was great. And it was so good to see her character develop in that sense, because like different things would come up and she would be like, oh, I'm learning about this. And then near the end, her sister calls her because her sister wants her to come home because no one knows that she left. She just up and left. And so she's like, I want you to come home. Like, everyone's berating me because all of the shit that Tess was taking. She was taking it for her and her sister because her sister wasn't getting half of the punishments that she was getting. So now that Tess is gone, her sister's getting it. And it was really nice to see, like, her be more self-aware about things and be like, are you asking me to come home because you need me to protect you like I've always protected you, or do you actually want me to come home? And it was just so well to see, like, the development and, like, the growth that she went through. I think she's probably going to go home in the sequel. So I want to know what's going to happen. So that's where I left off with this one, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It just took too long to read. So I hope the sequel is shorter, but I don't think it is. The next book I read was Undying by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is the conclusion, I guess, to and the sequel to Unearthed, which I rated this 3 stars because I was almost tempted to rate it 2 stars because the ending just that's all I gotta say. This was a lot easier to read. There's a lot less sci-fi jargon in this one. I feel like this took on more of a contemporary romance, young adult story than it did a science fiction. It's supposed to be sci-fi, and I just felt like we got too many romances. Like, our 2 main characters were together, and it was just focused on them, and then we had other characters who, like, it was focused kind of on their romance and how they interacted with each other. And I was like, this is not exactly what I signed up for. And then the ending comes, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, the people that were coming to take Earth away, basically, or take over Earth, they're coming, and one of the main characters, like, something drastic happens to him, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, this is crazy, and then the authors did what every author on the planet does, and they just swoop in and they say, no, that's actually not what's gonna happen. Actually, everything is all hunky-dory, and everything's fine. The people who came to Earth, oh, we're gonna work together, and we're gonna all sing Kumbaya. I was like, well, that was shit. I was like, oh, okay, so all this dramatic lead up to that? I'm gonna sink into the floor. Like, it just, there was so much hype, and there was so many stakes that were set, and then all of a sudden, just for it to be like, oh, we're all gonna work together, and we're all gonna live happily ever after. People who want to live on Earth are gonna live on Earth. People who want to live on the other planet are gonna live on the other planet. What was the point of your story? What? Those are my words. I don't have words. I didn't like it. I rated it 3 stars because the first part was good, but the ending really sucked. If you're looking for a cool sci-fi book, this is, I don't know. But I should be lucky I rated it 3 stars and not 2. Just saying. Okay. Last book that I read was Salt Houses by I had trouble with this the last time. Alian. This is the cover. It's very pretty. So I read this book for my Countries All Over the World Storygraph Challenge for Lebanon. Although the main characters are Palestinian and they start in Palestine, and they're very shifted. So this talks about the war that is constantly going on in Palestine. And so this starts in the 1960s, and we follow this one family through their family tree from, like, one character, and then we see her children, and then we see her children, and then we see their children. There's a lot of characters. It took a little while for me to want to get into this and to, like, understand where we are and what's going on. But, like, once I got to the midway point, I was like, actually it was before the midway point. I was like, no, I'm actually, like, engaged. I'm very interested to see where this goes. Like, this family just doesn't feel like they have a home because they're always being shuffled out, and they can't seem to find ground anywhere. Like, there is parts that take place in Lebanon, so they do kind of move to Lebanon to, like, get away from the war. I know some of the characters in one of the generations ends up moving to the States. So, like, there's family just kind of everywhere trying to escape this war, and they're just kind of realizing that there's nowhere that they can call home because their home is always being so disrupted. And it was also a harrowing tale, and it was just like very eye-opening to the struggles that these people face, because all they want to do is just survive and to thrive like anybody else, and they're constantly being thrown into the wolves because they have no place because the war keeps disrupting them. And it's just, yeah, it was sad at times, but it was also really beautiful because her writing was just so lush that it just kind of painted this really beautiful picture of family coming together in crisis, like during crisis, not during crisis, and like it was just lovely, and it was just really woven together really nicely. There were different points of view of different characters from different generations, so there was a lot going on. But kind of once you kind of get a handle on it, you kind of figure out who's who and who's connected. There is a family tree in the front, which I had to consult a few times because I'm like, wait, which character is this? Who do they belong to? But I thought it was really well done. I didn't say what I rated this, but I rated it 4 stars. I thought it was just a really good book. That's very simple of me to say, but it's very, very beautiful, very well written, and just kind of gives you a little glimpse into like life on the other side. So I'll leave it at that. So those were my last 4 library books. I need to now give them back so I can take new ones out, because I can't take new ones out now because I haven't given these back yet, but these were them. If you read any of them, let me know in the comments below. That is all I have for you guys today. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe, a do your thing, and I will see you all in my next video. So thanks, and bye guys!